know the truth. My life is real, so please don't get it twisted. My blues the same, ain't gotta be dealt with. These are the things I wish you knew.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to the very first installment of my new series, Mo Advice Mondays. So I went on a social media tirade for the last couple of days asking you guys to send me your questions. I wanted general questions, things that you guys might have needed advice on how to figure out some type of life situation. If you just had general questions, things that pertain specifically to you and maybe something that you're going through, I wanted you guys to send me everything because I wanted to get a chance to interact with you on a little bit more of a personal level and really answer some of your questions, things that you guys are having a hard time getting through or trying to figure out, or just maybe you want a second opinion. And if I do say so myself, I tend to give really great advice. So I wanted to start this series and really be interactive with you guys, and hopefully it goes well. I'm gonna try and get through as many of the questions that I had received over the last couple of days as possible. If I don't get through your question today, I will in the next installment, so keep sending your questions in. I'm not really sure yet if I want to do videos on Mondays and Wednesdays now because it's a little bit much for me to try and get through everything, edit, film, and all that jazz. But I for sure do want to start this series, and hopefully it'll be something that I can upkeep on my channel, because as far as some of these questions go, you know, I have a lot of advice to give and you guys really need some help. I'm just kidding. But anyways, let's get right into the video. Before we get into that though, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, drop a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to push that little notification bell at the bottom so that anytime I upload a new video, you guys will get notified. Let's get started. I've seen all the questions beforehand, so I've had a little bit of an opportunity to read through, try and put my thoughts together and figure out how to best advise you guys through some of these questions. So the first question is as follows. A scenario: you have a friend who has a girlfriend, but you know the girl has sex with other guys. Do you tell him? How do you tell him? What do you do? So, my first thing is, how long have you known this friend? If this is a friend of yours who you've had for 4, 5, 6+ years, then you should know your friend well enough to know that if you tell them this information, how they're gonna respond. If they're the type of friend that you tell them this information and they're just kind of gonna go haywire, maybe this information isn't worth telling them. If you're gonna tell this friend and you know that it's gonna be detrimental to your friendship, then maybe it isn't worth telling them. I think that there are certain scenarios where there's pertinent information that you might have that you have to keep to yourself, and not because you're trying to hurt your friend, but because you know that inserting yourself in a situation that is not your own is gonna only create more drama. So sometimes it's better to let the situation resolve itself and let those people who are in said situation figure out what they want to do. Let your friend figure it out for himself. And in other cases, if you have this friend and you've known them for a really long time, you know how they're going to react. You know that what you say to them based on their girlfriend cheating on them is not going to tarnish or end your friendship. Then I would say for sure, go ahead, tell your friend, let them know the information that you know, but be advised that sometimes, you know, you tell somebody something like this and their thing is, okay, that's fine, but I'm still gonna stay with this person. And then you end up looking crazy because you just exposed all this information and now they don't have any intention of leaving the person that is cheating on them. Some people are content with being indifferent. They're content with being oblivious. They're content with being ignorant to facts. And who knows, maybe your friend actually already knows that their significant other is cheating on them and they've just chosen to stick it out with that person because they care about them that much and they rather be in the dark or be, you know, aware and cognizant of what's going on behind closed doors, but keep that relationship rather than expose them knowing that they're not going to leave them because maybe they're just compromised. Maybe they're just settling because they feel like, you know, I'm not going to get anyone better than who I have right now, so I might as well just keep on going with whoever I have. It doesn't matter if they're cheating on me. So I think that for you as a friend, you really need to know the dynamic of the friendship that you have, the level of friendship that you have, and know that you're risking, by telling them this information, your friendship as a whole. They may take it positively, they may take it negatively, they may end up staying with that person, they may leave the person. Are you prepared for the repercussions with whichever way it goes? And I think that that's the key thing about whether or not you're gonna say something to your friend. And if you really feel like, you know what, if I don't tell them and they find out some other way and they find out that I knew, that's gonna be even worse, then maybe it is worth telling them. So I really think that it depends on how well you know your friend and how well you know that friendship. Let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, how can women or anyone determine if they're being compromising versus settling for less when dating? I think that this is a good question. I think that it's actually something that I spoke with a friend about last night. And I feel like we as women get to this place where we meet these guys. They seem to be really nice guys or whatever the case is, but there's just something about them that doesn't make us want to commit or open up to them or give them a chance, because they're just not who we want. It's not who we envision ourselves being with. And so we're willing to just be like, no, like he's not it, and just like pass that person up. Then when someone else comes along and they're giving us heartache, they're giving us heartburn, they're giving us all type of problems, drama, everything that you can think of under the sun, they're bringing to us. But we love them, we care about them, we want to keep them in our lives just because that's how we feel about them. And like we're willing to overlook all the crummy stuff because we like them that much. And it's interesting that we do that as females. I can't really speak for guys, but as females, I know that we do that. We're more likely to pass up a guy who is great for us, but maybe just doesn't have that edge, that extra quality, that pizzazz. There's no spark, rather than get rid of a guy that is just wasting our time, quite frankly, and causing us stress and our hair to fall out. Just because of how much we might be physically attracted to them, or maybe we've seen our future, we've walked down the aisle already, we have our white picket fence and our 3.5 children already, we've dreamed all this stuff up, but this person is not the person that we're supposed to be with. I think that when it comes to compromising, you need to know what qualities are hard-nosed, what I like to call hard-nosed, things that you're not willing to be movable on, things like your faith, things like where you want to potentially grow your family, things like your morals. These for you might be hard-nosed. Other people are going to have different hard-nosed based on how they were raised, what their upbringing was like, what their family life is like, and what types of marriages they've seen as a child and into young adulthood. So I think that when it comes to compromising, we need to figure out what our hard no's are, what are things that we're willing to be a little bit more lenient on, and what things that we're just kind of being a little bit extra about. Like, does he really have to be 5'1", light skin with 2 earrings and a nice clean cut, full beard? Like, these are things that you don't really like. It's not going to change the character of the person. They may not come in the package that you expect, but are they a good person? Are they treating you right? Do you guys match up on certain qualities that you would express as hard-nosed, things that you're not willing to compromise on? And I feel like if you're settling for less, you're willing to, being lenient on areas that you wouldn't normally, just because you like this person so much. Maybe it's time to assess, like, first of all, is that person really treating you right? Second of all, are those hard no's that you're talking about actually hard no's? And just kind of go from there. And I think that goes for both genders. I hope I answered that question. Let's move on to the next question. So, what's your best advice for dealing with stress having to do with school? I would say that when dealing with school stress, you need to find an outlet. You need to find something that is gonna be able to, in the middle of the week, a couple times a week, whatever the case is, take you out of the frame of mind of, I need to finish this assignment, I need to get through this studying, I need to practice this presentation. Like, either sign up for a class, go hang out with friends, but just being around people, things that are going to distract you from having to think about school, would be the best way that I would say to deal with school stress. Do something that you really enjoy. Some people, like me, I love to bake. Baking is a really big stress reliever for me. Some people like to read. Take some time out of your week to say, you know what, okay, this portion of the week, this day of the week, I'm not going to be worrying about school stuff, none of that. I'm going to be going out with my friends. I'm not going to feel bad about it. That's the key thing. Don't feel bad when you're taking time for yourself, because your mind needs to be right before you're studying or investing any time in trying to get yourself through school stuff. So take the time, set the time aside, don't feel bad about it, and do stuff for yourself. Go get your nails done, go cut your hair, get your nice little lineup, go buy yourself something nice. I don't know, do something that doesn't have anything to do with school. Bring a friend along with you, because when you're conversing with somebody, it's less likely that your mind is gonna wander and go back to, I have to do all the stuff to get through my school week this week. So bring a friend and do something that you genuinely enjoy doing to kind of deal with some of the stresses that go along with having to work through school and all of that stuff. The next question is a two-part. So the first part is, if you had a guy that you hit it off with and you really enjoy him as a friend but don't see it going anywhere romantically, is it your job to tell him from the jump? I think that it is your job to be honest with yourself. If you as a person know that this guy who is pursuing you or might be interested in you is not someone you're feeling like that, don't lead yourself on. Not even don't lead them on, don't lead yourself on. Don't continue to invest in time with them. Don't continue to engage in conversation. Don't be FaceTiming them. Don't text them. Don't put yourself in a situation where now you're investing time. Because if you know from the very beginning that you don't like them like that in a romantic way, then you spending more time with them is only going to be growing the situation. It's only going to be growing the situation more romantically. And who knows, maybe they actually have feelings for you. And now you're making it seem to them that, she may have said or may have indicated in some way that she doesn't really like me, but at least she's spending the time with me. At least she's putting in a little bit of effort, and I have an open door. So every day when she texts me, it's that little crack in the door is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm just gonna slide my way on in through it because she's giving me the opportunity. Honestly and truly, if you don't like somebody, it's not your job to tell them from the jump, look, I don't like you like that. It is your job though to be honest with yourself. If you're going into a situation and you met someone new and you're not really looking for anything romantic, by all means tell them that from the very get-go, look, I'm not looking for anything romantic. All I have to offer you right now is friendship. If that's not what you're on, I'm sorry, that's all I have to give. Otherwise, if you get to a point where you realize that you're not feeling them that way, then be honest with yourself first and foremost. Relationships would be so much easier if people were just honest with themselves, honest with how they feel about the person that they're talking to, whether good or bad. If you can be honest earlier on in a new situation, it leads to less heartbreak. So I would definitely say that although it's not your job to say, hey, look, I'm not feeling this romantically, it is your job to be honest with yourself. And once you're honest with yourself, I think that you will figure out, okay, these are the things that I'm doing in this situation to make it seem maybe to that person that I actually still like them. I don't want them to feel like they're being led on in any way, shape, or form. So let me just cut back on this conversation. Let me just not make myself as available to them as I was doing before, so that they can get the fact that I'm not really feeling it that way. And if they outright ask you, hey, that's even more of an opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm not really feeling you that way, but I'm really for us having and maintaining a friendship. Hopefully you're okay with that. If not, I totally understand. I think that a lot of the time we go into new relationships and we don't take into consideration that your job as a person is to care for that person's heart to the point where even if they decide to move on, even if you decide to move on, you're not leaving them in shambles. They're moving on in such a way that they're prepared to receive somebody else. They're not heartbroken. They're not, having to call 10 million of their friends, having to pray every day to the Lord will just take this pain away because it's too much for them to bear. Like, you want to leave every person that you've met in life the same way that you found them in terms of just the condition of their heart being well. You don't want to leave them heartbroken. So if you're not feeling it, tell them. Tell them when you know within yourself. Don't leave it till like 3 months down the line. Now it's difficult. Now their feelings are invested. Now you're confused as to whether or not you really like them. No, you didn't like them from the beginning. You're just spending time with them, and that unfortunately is going to cause a bond. So, I mean, I would say that it's not your responsibility, but you should be honest with yourself. The next part of that question is, I feel disconnected from my faith. How do I reconnect to God if I'm not vibing with my church anymore? This is something that I've struggled with in terms of being at a church, my home church, for a very long time. I grew up at the Bridge Pentecostal. It used to be called the Bridge Markham Pentecostal Church, and then we changed to the Bridge. And I've been there since I was born. I was christened there. I had my baptism there. Everything happened at Markham Pentecostal Church, formerly known as Markham Pentecostal Church, now the Bridge Markham. And I had a lot of trouble with feeling like I was disconnected to the youth and the young adults there, and that's just because I travel a lot. I'm not always at home, and unfortunately my feeling about the young adults ministry at my church, my home church, is that it's very cliquey. And that's understandable. Like, you grew up with these people, you know them, these are your extended family, these are your chosen family that you're, walking through life with, you're doing life with, you're learning and growing in Christ with. And so it's easy to see how, like, me as somebody, even though I've been there for my whole life, coming in and out of the city every now and then doesn't really provide ample opportunity for me to connect with people in the way that I want to. So I can definitely agree with, or can empathize with, feeling disconnected from church. I would say that if you're feeling disconnected to your faith, one, it's great that you feel that way, because you know that you are saved, and you know that you are being convicted at that point by the Holy Spirit, that there's something that's going on with you, that you need to be brought back to your church, to Christ. And Christ, as long as you're his, there is nowhere on this planet that you will go that he will not continuously be drawing you back in. So I would definitely say, first, be prayerful about it. And I don't just mean like, just a 2-second, Lord, this is how I'm feeling. Like, get into some honest prayer about this issue. Pray with people who might have a little bit further of a journey along with Christ than you do. Tell them your situation and ask them to be prayerful for you and with you. If they have any scriptures that you can kind of cling to and study for an extended period of time that are going to help you get back into your faith, then do that. Invest in a study Bible. I think that is a really good way to kind of understand God's word, because at the core of everything, studying his word is really what's going to bring you back to understanding who he is and how much he loves you. So investing in a good study Bible, and then also if you're into devotional books, that's a good thing to invest in as well. Start small, don't overwhelm yourself, but God is going to definitely lead you in the way that he wants you to go, as far as reconnecting with him and regaining a stronger faith life. I think that if God is wanting you to make a big move and a big change as far as where you're at in terms of your church and moving to a new church, you will start to feel some discomfort, some shifting, some things that are happening that you're not really vibing with anymore. And God will let you know. He'll let you know that it's time for you to move. It's time for you to be in a space where you're going to be connecting with people that are going to help you grow in your faith. My next question is, does your significant other have the right to tell you who you can and cannot be friends with, pertaining more so to the opposite sex? So boyfriend doesn't want girlfriend to have male friends, or vice versa. It's funny because this is something that I actually recently went through, and I would say, looking back at the situation now, I have a little bit more of more empathy for the opposite side of the spectrum. I would say that it is no one's right ever to tell you what to do and what not to do. But I do think that if you care about a person, if you love a person, if you're growing with a person, if you're married to a person, that there is going to be, one, room for hearing that person out and their concerns, and two, room for compromise. I think that if you're dating somebody and they've expressed to you that they don't feel comfortable with you having certain friends of the opposite sex, you need to figure out, okay, what exactly about this friend do you feel uncomfortable about? Because you can't just be going into a new situation and saying, look, I want you to cut off all your male friends, I want you to cut off all your female friends. No, especially if that person knew those people from well before. I don't feel like that's appropriate for you to just be coming in and just making demands like that. But I do think that there's room for conversation, especially if your significant other feels uncomfortable. I would say make it so that there's a way for the group of you to get together. So if your partner feels uncomfortable with a particular friend that you have, they get to know them, they get to develop their own relationship. And if they are still not feeling that person, then hey, it's really up to you. Like, you have to figure out, is this friendship that I have worth risking my relationship over? If it's not, unfortunately, there goes that friendship. And if it is, then you need to figure out, okay, I don't think that this friend that I have looks at me as more than a friend. Why do you feel uncomfortable with this friendship? What about this friendship is making you feel uncomfortable? And really weigh and assess this person's feelings. And are they valuable to you? Are their feelings valuable to you? And if they are, then you're going to make the decision that's best for you in your relationship. There are some friends that, quite frankly, are not worth fighting for. And there are friends that are. If you've known this person for 10, 20 years, then chances are, and it's strictly platonic friendship, then chances are you're going to be more willing to want to fight for that friendship. And you probably won't even have to fight for that friendship, because if your significant other knows, look, this person has been in my girlfriend or boyfriend's life for 10, 20 years. Nothing has ever happened. They're genuinely just friends. This person relies on them for a lot of different things. They don't really talk that often. It's just a genuine friendship. Let me figure out who this person is too, because I want to be a part of that friendship too. And hey, like, things will grow from there. So I think that you really need to take into consideration your partner's feelings. You need to figure out whether or not their feelings are valid. You need to assess whether or not that friendship that you're holding on so tightly to is really worth your relationship. Because if it's not, and you're there fighting over a friendship that, okay, you just met Tommy 2 weeks ago, and you're fighting down your boyfriend for Tommy that you just met 2 weeks ago, like, why are you fighting and riding so hard for Tommy? Is it because there's more than just a friendship there? So you really need to assess, why am I holding on to this friendship so tightly? And is it worth me risking my relationship over? That's what I would say when it comes to that. But no, I don't think that anyone should tell you what to do, but I do think that when you care about someone, your convictions are going to change. You're going to feel more pulled to doing something that is going to be reflective of how much you care about that person and their feelings and their emotions. Okay, so I have a couple more questions, but I'm gonna save them into the next episode, because this is kind of getting a little bit long. I hope I didn't overwhelm you guys. I hope I answered the questions to the best of my ability and that you got something from them. Let me know in the comment section below if you have more questions, if any of these scenarios kind of reflected something that's going on in your life. Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. I really want to get your feedback. I want to know if you like this series, if you want me to do more stuff like this, if you have more deeper, more detailed questions. As you can see, I'm not reading anyone's name, I'm not exposing anybody, so you can get as detailed and intimate as you would like, or as superficial as you would like. Also, I'm here to answer everything. So until then, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure you turn on the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
Ooh, yeah.